going on, everybody? Welcome in to the Sports Blitz on a Friday. Mark Freeman, Weldon Braxton. That just came out. That just straight came out. He is white. He is totally white.
But it is Weldon's birthday today.
And you're much uglier.
Shout out to
That's
Weldon
what
Braxton.
it was. I just
Happy
wanted
birthday.
to shout out to Weldon Braxton. Coach Weldon up there at Itasca. I don't know why I just called Maddie Weldon Braxton, but 2 years worth of doing
We
it.
look pretty similar.
Wow, he's much prettier than you are.
Wow.
Happy birthday, Weldon. Don't know where that came from. Get a win tomorrow. Welcome in on a Friday. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. As you can tell, my brain is mush already on a Friday. Want to get some local sports in, NFL, college football. Want to talk about the Hogs. Want your opinion? Call us at 968-NEWS. It's 968-6397. Hopefully, we can talk about a Hogs win on Monday. I've predicted it. I'm going to get on the record today with my score and want you to get on the record with yours. You can go to facebook.com/sportsblitz and you can answer today's CrossFit Russellville poll question, if you will, as well. But like I said, call us at 968-NEWS if you want to have your say heard here on the show today. We're going to have lots of openings for phone calls. But let's start real quickly with our local sports look, high school football. And it's just, I'm looking forward to seeing some of these. I'm going to go watch a game tonight. I'm going to go watch Dardanelle and Boonville. They're at Dardanelle. Pottsville's playing a big game tonight at home as well against Morrilton. But there are some really good games in the area. Now, if you're a Russellville Cyclones fan and you don't want to make the trip all the way to Rogers Heritage, you can go watch Dardanelle Boonville. You can watch Pottsville Morrilton. You can get a good Friday night's worth of football out just by going and watching one of these local teams. So I'm looking forward to some good football tonight. See if the Sand Lizards can get to 2-0 against a very, very good opponent, the 3A favorite, the 4A defending state champion in Boonville. So that's going to be a good game. It's going to be a measuring stick game for Dardanelle. We'll see how that goes. Also, man, I'm still so impressed with what Dover did to Atkins last week. I heard a lot about Atkins, talked with Coach Cody about Atkins, and saw some of the good things that they were doing in the offseason. I heard about an injury that they had, and I sort of pushed it off because I know they've got Alex Spradlin back as quarterback. They're going to have some talent, but I really seem to have misunderstood the importance of, I wish I knew his name, the player that was concussed, or no, broke his collarbone and is likely out for the year, his senior year. I know Coach Cody mentioned my name in our interview, and that was last Wednesday, so you can go listen to that interview if you like, or Monday. You can go listen to that interview. Anyway, by the way, if you want to listen to any of our past shows you want to watch and find, and what I do a lot of times if I'm listening to a replay, I don't want to look at my ugly mug the whole show, so I'll have it playing in the background as audio. You can do that. It's very easy to do. You can go to your phone to rivervalleyleader.com. I recommend that because look at me. I mean, who wants to stare at me for an hour? You can go to rivervalleyleader.com on your phone, tablet, desktop, whatever it is that you're using. And you can find that link that we post every day a couple hours after the show when it gets uploaded. And you can watch replays. You can go back and watch shows from whenever you like. You can go to the YouTube page, and you can find them all right there if you'd like. You can search them on rivervalleyleader.com. So we hope you'll take advantage of that option and go check out what we talk about. From week to week, we try to mention names, and we try to do things that will bring light to local sports, and that's just that's what we're here for. Big shout out to the Russellville Lady Cyclones volleyball team, always a favorite in the 6A, and they're playing pretty well right now. I heard Coach Johnny Johnson sent me a little information about it, the athletic director, about how they beat Conway last week. That's a big deal. Anytime a Russellville team beats a Conway team, that's a big deal. They take it very seriously, that rival with a weird six-legged dog or whatever or cat, whatever the Wampus cat is, some six-legged mythical creature that Russellville Cyclones like to destroy, right? So that's a big shout out to them. And volleyball season started out. I know Atkins is pretty good. I follow Coach Sorrells on Twitter and see some of the things that he tweets about his team. If you want us to know more about your team, it's very easy. You can call us at 968-NEWS during the show, or you can email mark@rivervalleyleader.com with information. You can submit materials about tournaments that you're playing in, games that your teams have won, statistics, anything you'd like for us to share on the Sports Blitz or on rivervalleyleader.com. We'd love to have those. You're the only way that we know about a lot of these games and a lot of these exciting happenings, because we can only be so many places at once. Like tonight, I'm going to be at Dardanelle for Dardanelle Boonville. Well, I'm not going to know what's happening at all these other games. That's where you come in. You go to facebook.com/RVL News tonight about 7 o'clock. I'll post a Friday Night Football scoreboard post on Facebook, and then throughout the night you'll watch as people will comment with their score of the game they're at. And if you're at one of these games, you're a family member, you're a fan, a friend of one of these players from whichever school. Say you're a Russellville Cyclone fan, you're going to Rogers tonight to watch the Cyclones play Rogers Heritage. You can comment below that status with the score to your game, and by the end of the night, anybody who comes to our page can just check out the scores to all the games. They'll know all the things that they need to know before the night's even over. I just think that's a really cool option. You don't have to listen to the statewide show and wonder when they're going to get to scores from around this part of the state. You know, you're going to hear about Gurdon and Barton and all these other places that don't matter at all to you. But now in this option, you can come to facebook.com/RVL News. You can find out what your team did tonight. Russellville, like we mentioned, at Rogers Heritage tonight, looking to go to 2-0. Atkins is hosting Bigelow. Clarksville is at Ozark. That's a big game. Panthers trying not to go to 0-2, a second rivalry game in a row. Danville is out Mount Ida. We mentioned Dardanelle hosting Boonville. Dover hosting Cedarville. Hector at Hackett. Lamar at Subiaco Academy. Pottsville hosting Morrilton. Two Rivers at Perryville, and Western Yale County playing home and playing host to Johnson County West Side. So that's a big night of high school football for the area. I want to make mention of the fact that Coach Johnson from Russellville sent us an email and told us that all these 7A, 6A teams in the area, including Russellville, play their game starting at 7:30 rather than 7. So as we mentioned on Wednesday, you can get there a little earlier if you get there at 6:30 for a 7 o'clock kickoff, because it's actually a 7:30 kickoff, and you might not want to show up so early. So just let that be known. That's going to help me out, Maddie, because since they're kicking off at 7:30, I'm probably going to be at some point going to a Pottsville game or a Dardanelle game, and then be able to make it to the end of a Russellville game too. You know, sort of leave early when one of these teams starts rolling off and running out on someone. So I'm looking forward to watching some of these teams play. Saw some stats, saw some videos like a Vine video or game film type video from Russellville, and saw some really good things. So I'm looking forward to watching these teams play live. Arkansas Tech, Michael Perry. Got some stats about Michael Perry the other day from Jason, I think, that told me about what Michael did last weekend in his game. He had 4 returns for Arkansas Tech, 4 punt returns for 42 yards, and tied for third on the team in tackles with 5 in his college debut there for Arkansas Tech. And the Wonder Boys got a win, so they're going to try to go to 2-0 this Saturday. Had a little extra time to prepare, so maybe that'll help them going into what's going to be a tough year. Maddie, you want to know something funny? Nicholls State, that Arkansas just played, guess who they're playing this week?
SEC team?
No.
An Arkansas team.
Henderson State.
Oh, boy. That should be a good matchup.
Henderson State's got a quarterback who's thrown for just about 1 million yards in his career, and they're expecting that he's going to put up really big numbers. Henderson State, up there in Arkadelphia, I believe, is expecting to win the game against Nicholls State. You're going to see this Nicholls team. You'll find out how good they are tomorrow. Like, if they get blown out by Henderson, maybe it makes Arkansas even look worse in a lot of people's eyes. So we'll see. I'm hoping that I didn't get overconfident. This is what I've been thinking about since Monday when I predicted Arkansas to win. I've been thinking, man, I hope I'm not overconfident because Arkansas beat a junior high team. Because Texas Tech, I know they're 2-0. They beat UCA and UTEP, so they haven't played anybody just incredible, and they haven't looked all that good. But maybe I'm a little overconfident because Arkansas played a good first half against Auburn and then just rolled Nicholls. I'm hoping I'm not overconfident.
See, I don't even take the Nicholls game into account as far as for me, it's good because it was a confidence boost for them. They needed to get that win, but I don't look at that like, they beat Nicholls, so they're going to beat you. I look way more at the Auburn game, at the Auburn first half, and the way, it wasn't like a fluke, the way they ran the ball in that first half. It wasn't tricky. It was just, we're bigger and stronger than you. We're going to push you back. Of course, we all know what happened in the second half, but still, I just feel like there's such a gap between an Auburn and a Texas Tech And Texas Tech has shown in 2 games that they can't stop the run for anything. So that's where my confidence comes from. That's why I'm so confident that Arkansas is going to win this game, because I just really don't think if Texas Tech can't stop these teams, they will not stop Arkansas. And it's just a matter of Arkansas playing decent enough defense to not get torched, So we'll see.
Yeah, see, what I saw from the Nicholls game is Arkansas imposing its will on a team and what that looked like. And it happened a couple times last year, and there were drives, even against Auburn, where you just saw them absolutely impose their will on Auburn and just march down the field. We're going to run it right here. And, a lot of times, and I was telling people when I was watching the game, and I'm not, a football savant by any means, but I saw Arkansas move a tight end across the formation and put a fullback over here, and it's way overloaded. And I said, they're running to the right, and they're telling everybody they're running to the right. They run to the right, and they just, mow over folks and get 10 yards in the first down. They don't always do that. Sometimes they're setting up some play action, or they're setting up a play backside, or whatever it might be that they're doing. And, so it's not always going to be that way, but I saw them do that, and then I saw them just absolutely annihilate Nicholls, and I thought that's what it can look like if Arkansas gets rolling against a team that can't stop them. I think, like Maddie said, I think that's how Arkansas is going to have an advantage, and not to the extent that they did against Nicholls, but somewhere between Nicholls and Auburn against Texas Tech. Texas Tech's offense, it's a passing offense, but it's not the type of offense like Auburn where they've got these guys who 15 to 20 yards down the field are going to be able to kill you. Sammy Coates or Duke Williams, guys that are going to really be able to hurt you stretching the field. It's sort of a east-west type passing game, and if you don't make tackles, they run for days. I'm sure they'll stretch the field some too, but that's not their bread and butter. I don't worry, and I know Artis Payne from Auburn had huge rushing yards against Arkansas, but I don't worry about a running back beating Arkansas as much as I worry about a talented core of wide receivers and a quarterback hurting Arkansas, because the secondary has just been pitiful, awful, and I mean just bad in the middle of the field and deep. It's just been bad. So if Arkansas can make tackles, we'll get to predictions and breaking down that game, but I think if Arkansas
we're going to have our Kool-Aid minute.
We'll have our Kool-Aid minute.
My favorite part of the week.
I'm picking Arkansas to win, newsflash. So it's not going to be necessarily Kool-Aid. My Kool-Aid will just be if everything goes according to plan, Arkansas wins by 2 touchdowns plus. Like, I can see that being what happens. Mm-hmm. I can see it being much closer. I have a very hard time seeing Arkansas losing this game. If it happens, like we said, we'll come on here Monday and we'll be like everyone else in the state. We'll just be foot in our mouth, eating crow, whatever. But I expect Arkansas is going to win the game. I'll tell you how after the break. One thing, I want to hit the wire topics. This is where we hit the big topics in sports across the country. I see here across the ESPN wire that Chris Davis, the Orioles left-hander, has been suspended for 25 games for amphetamines. Have you seen the guy? Like, it's not a surprise. You look at him and you just wonder what took so long. Like, he came from nowhere. He starts hitting 50 home runs a year. I wonder what happened. It's not a surprise. Really, honestly, if I were Major League Baseball, and I know that they have random tests and things like that in all sports, if I saw a dude that was nothing and became, went Barry Bonds on us and his head doubled in size, or he just became huge and starts hitting bombs, I'd test him every single day. Like, I would find, because there's no way, I know you don't want to punish hard work, but there's no way that Chris Davis doesn't look like a stereotypical, prototypical doper. I don't know. So it's not a big surprise to me. He's going to miss 25 games, which will include the first 8 games of the postseason if the Orioles are to make the postseason. So, and then the big topic of conversation today, I want to get to the Roger Goodell situation and the NFL and what they knew and when they knew about the Ray Rice video, because it's been talked to death, the whole Ray Rice situation. And I'm glad we were on the early side on Wednesday of talking about Ray Rice, the human being, and what's going to happen to him, because I do think eventually he's going to be on another team. I do think that the NFL can't keep him out forever. It's just, it'd be way too hypocritical to keep him out with all the other stuff that has gone on, and even things that have been proven in a court of law. Even if they don't have video, if you've got things proven in a court of law that you did this or you did that and you're allowed in the league, it can't be, so we'll talk a little bit more about Ray Rice in that situation here in a little bit. But it looks like the NFL is about to approve, and the Players Association are going to approve a new drug agreement that will sort of nullify some of the suspensions that have taken place. Josh Gordon, suspended for the year, looks like his drug suspension is going to be knocked down to 8 games. I think about it from a fantasy football perspective. Wes Welker, his 4-game suspension, going to be knocked out altogether. Yes, he's already been suspended for a game, which I don't think he would have been able to play very effectively anyway with that concussion, the lingering concussion symptoms. But his suspension, gone. Josh Gordon's cut in half. Think about fantasy football where people didn't draft these guys or didn't draft Josh Gordon because he was out for the year. And then, Garrett Hill, good friend, he heard about this a week ago, went and picked him up in every league. And now he's got the best receiver, one of the best 5 receivers in the league on his team, just waiting there. Didn't even have to spend a draft pick on him. Frustrates me because in my keeper league, I did get Josh Gordon in like the 12th round, but I took a flyer on him because it's a keeper league and I can keep him next year. I didn't expect anything this year. I wish now that I'd gone back and got him in these leagues, but that's not the bigger story. The bigger story is that they've revamped their drug policy. It's going to look more like Olympic drug policy, which it's stringent, but it's not like the NFL's marijuana policy was. I guess they just got sick of having weed problems, so they were making it to where Josh Gordon's sample was almost consistent with secondhand smoke. Like that's how low the threshold is. It's basically they're saying you don't get around people who are smoking weed or you're going to get suspended. So they've kind of evened it out a little bit, and I'm sure that it's going to have an effect long term. But right now I can only see it through the eyes of a fantasy football owner. So, all right, let's hit a break. We come back. I want to look at the college football and NFL games of the week. We'll hit a few more wire topics. Oscar Pistorius, Danny Ferry, Roger Goodell. Some big, heavy news things today on Friday, but then we'll get to the fun stuff. You'll call in with your predictions, 968-NEWS, 968-6397, or find us on Facebook, facebook.com/sportsblitz to get in on the action. We'll be back right after this.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. We've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
here's what you missed.
Updated news.
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
Developing stories.
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
And weather and traffic on the 4s.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on. KARK4 today.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Blitz on a Friday here in the Cogswell Motors Studios. Got a lot of stuff left to hit today, a lot of football, but we want to take a break from football for a moment to talk about some heavy breaking news stories across the world. Going to South Africa for the Oscar Pistorius trial. You've heard of him. They call him the Blade Runner. He's got the 2 prosthetic legs, made it all the way to the Olympics, was a great feel-good story, and then he killed his girlfriend. And it wasn't a debate whether or not he killed his girlfriend, by the way. That's not me making that up. He killed his girlfriend, and then the conversation was, did he do it on purpose? Was it premeditated murder? Well, he was found not guilty of premeditated murder, but he was found guilty of culpable homicide, which I've learned is like manslaughter here in the United States. So he is guilty of that, not guilty of murder. And he was convicted of culpable homicide or negligent killing, which can bring a maximum sentence of 15 years. Judge said that there was not enough evidence to support the contention that Pistorius knew Steenkamp was behind a locked toilet door in his home when he shot through the door in the pre-dawn hours of Valentine's Day last year. There are also some other charges that he might be able to, that they might be able to levy against him. His sentencing hearing will begin October the 13th, and so that means that he's going to go through the process of being charged with or being sentenced for this crime. It would have been a much bigger deal for here in America, and that's just a rough situation to sit in that courtroom. It's basically what it would take for you to be able to give any real good analysis of this case, because it seems so weird to me that, like, how did this happen? What were the details of what happened? What was the timeline of how this all went down? They said he'd vomited before when he's sitting there listening to this testimony and he's puking, and they've said that he sat there in tears for a lot of the trial, and then a lot of time he's just sitting there stone-faced. So it's just weird to me. Yeah, there's video of him. It's just a little weird to me, the whole situation. And now it's coming to somewhat of a conclusion, so to speak. Did you see last night where Giancarlo Stanton got smashed in the face with a fastball? He's a talented...
So let me see if I can pull that up there and let everybody see who has it. I actually haven't seen it. I saw a
it looks like he's trying to check his swing, and as he turns in toward the pitcher, the ball just hits him directly in the face, and he turns over, and he's on the ground, and you can see the blood pouring from his mouth, and it's a rough situation. Well, that was one thing. They cart him off, and the same pitcher stays in and hits the next batter in the face, or near the face, hits him in the hand, right up by his face, and... bench is cleared. People were screaming at each other, and in my opinion, I don't think it was the pitcher's fault either time. He just had fastballs get away from him, and after the first one, coach comes out, asks him if he's okay. I'm sure he's rattled. You could tell he was visibly shaken that he hit Stanton, and they had to, cart him off, so to speak, and they had to get him to the hospital for bad injury, and you'll see it here in just a moment. But you could tell it visibly shook him, and it does start.
Yeah, it starts like right on.
Yeah, we'll play it if it'll play. Hit him right in the face, and you can see that the pitcher is visibly shaking, and it really rocked him. I'm not sure, and hindsight's 20/20, but I'm not sure if I wouldn't have just taken the pitcher out. Not because he did anything wrong, but because how is he going to get it back together? And with the next pitcher, or with the next batter, you see he hits him too, bench is clear, and he's like, no, I did not do it. Why would you hit 2 people in a row on purpose like that? Especially one of them in the face. That pitcher was really shaking, and probably looking back, this guy here gets tossed the next batter because he is out screaming at the pitcher. And it was a bad situation there for the Brewers. Obviously, you can tell he didn't do it on purpose. So, best wishes to Giancarlo Stanton as he tries to recover from this injury. He's one of the best players in baseball. So, we'll see if things work out for him, that he's able to play again sooner than later. Of course, the baseball season's almost over. Speaking of almost over, the FIBA World Cup. The United States really got lucky on Wednesday night. France beat Spain in Spain, so the U.S. Spain final that was all but guaranteed by everyone in the world is not going to happen. And the U.S. sees Spain go down, and I can imagine that Coach K and that team, the weight just lifts off their shoulders. They beat Slovenia, and then they watch Spain get beat, and then they get out against Lithuania, and it's like they know. And in the first half, it wasn't great, but in the third quarter, they smelled the gold medal coming their way. And Serbia, France today at 3 o'clock. Neither one of those teams is going to be a slouch, a pushover, or a really, really easy win. But they're not Spain either. They're not the Gasol brothers. They're not Serge Ibaka. They're not Ricky Rubio and the list of NBA players that Spain has. So. And France, imagine if Tony Parker was playing with them. They would be even better. He's not playing this summer. They've got Batum. They've got other guys like him who are very, very good. But I expect that that's going to be a good game. The U.S. beat Lithuania 96-68 yesterday in a game that was supposed to be pretty close. I think the line was probably somewhere around 20 points, but people expected that Lithuania was going to play the U.S. close because the last 4 or 5 times they played, it's been a single-digit game. One of them, they even beat the U.S. going back a few years. So everybody expected that to be a good game, and the United States pulled away. Very impressed with the balanced scoring, which when you've got a bunch of NBA All-Stars on your team, it should be balanced scoring, and it's not a Kevin Durant situation where he's out there clearly the best player by a long shot. You've got James Harden and Kenneth Faried and
James
Anthony
Harden,
Davis.
Best basketball player in the world.
Yeah, so he's in his own mind, absolutely. You've got
That's
a lot of guys
place, James. Sorry.
who are out there playing well. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson played a lot better than I thought he could. I think it's down to Anthony Davis or Kenneth Faried if the U.S. wins the gold medal, who's going to be the MVP of this tournament. And I would be hard-pressed not to say Kenneth Faried. The energy, the enthusiasm that he's sort of brought. I heard a stat yesterday that on missed shots, the U.S. has offensive rebounded 40% of their missed shots. That is unreal. That's an unreal stat, that you get 40% of your missed shots. And Kenneth Faried has been a big reason. He's been an absolute terror on the boards, averaging a double-double in this tournament. So a big shout-out to him. Also, we're getting back to the controversial stuff here. Danny Ferry, I don't know if you heard the comments that he made about Luol Deng as the Atlanta Hawks, where he's the general manager, we're looking at picking up Luol Deng over the summer, and he made some controversial statements, racially charged statements about Luol Deng, and now he's in trouble. And I heard some radio on the way over here, Colin Cowherd, and one of his callers said something, and Colin sort of echoed it, that I'm thinking more often by the day when I listen to sports talk. And I know that most of the people, and not our callers, but most of the people who call sports talk radio are idiots. Like our callers, I've been very impressed with how good, and that's not pandering to our audience, it's just telling the truth. I've been impressed with the sports knowledge our callers have. Some of these people who call these, everybody ought to be fired, kill them all, just drag them out back, shoot them in the face. Like you never made a mistake in your whole life. Danny Ferry made a stupid decision. He's not going to lose his job. Probably shouldn't lose his job. Just saying. And Bruce Levinson, the owner, the majority owner of the Atlanta Hawks, he is going to sell the team. Part of me wonders, I don't think he's selling the team because of this one issue. I think he saw Donald Sterling sell a team for $2 billion and thought, I can probably make pretty good profit, not have to deal with the crap from this, and I can use this as my excuse to get out. That's probably, in my opinion, what he's doing. Don't really care too much about the story, so I just wanted to share it with you, give you that information. The big topic of conversation today, and this sort of came out of the last couple days since we've been on the air, the NFL, Roger Goodell, and the video from the inside of the elevator in the Atlantic City Casino where Ray Rice punched his fiance and now wife, Janae, in the face, knocked her out. AP sources reporting that the NFL had that video in April. The NFL saw that video. Somebody sent back an email, and there are anonymous sources and there are paper trails, apparently, that say that the NFL had this information in April and that the woman, let that sink in when we're talking about domestic violence against a woman, who sent back an email, said, yes, we got it, it's terrible, and saw. My question, I have not seen this answered anywhere, so please forgive me if you've heard this, if you know this to be sure, and I've asked people. My question is, how do we know that, and we know that the NFL got the outside video. We know that. We've seen they talked about how that was what, and that's where Roger Goodell said that he got the 2-game suspension from seeing the outside. I don't want to go back into the whole detail of all that, but how do we know that the video that she's talking about seeing and it being terrible in April isn't the outside video? Like, how do we know it's the inside video? Is that what the internal investigation or the independent investigation that's being overseen by 2 NFL owners? And that's neither here nor there. How do we know that it was the indoor or the in-elevator footage and not the outdoor footage? Like, because it seems to me like her saying it's awful, she could have been easily talking about the outdoor camera and saying, yeah, we saw him drag this lifeless body out of the elevator, and that was just terrible. I don't know. I don't see how them saying that, oh, well, see that email, that means they got the in, because I don't know. I don't know that we can confirm that. That's what the investigation's all about. I do think that if it comes out that the NFL had the in-elevator footage in April, bye-bye, Roger. And that's not even my opinion, like, oh, I think he's a terrible person, they should fire him. I'm thinking there's no way he can withstand that. The NFL owners have said as much. There was an anonymous owner yesterday who came out and said, look, Roger Goodell has done a great job. Think about the things that he's instituted and the money that these owners are now making every year, partially because of – the dude makes $45 million a year, by the way. Roger Goodell, $45 million a year. That's what his package includes. Yeah, he's doing all right. I don't think he'll be too upset if they say get gone. But owner said Roger Goodell has everyone's backing right now. But if it comes out in April, they had that footage and he lied about it the whole time, he's gone. There's just no question about it. So we'll see how the investigation goes. We'll see how this independent investigation comes together. We'll see. I think that they're probably going to be all right. I think the NFL's probably going to be found, quote unquote, not guilty. But in the court of public opinion, Roger Goodell he's got lots of folks calling for his job already. I do think we need to ease up on calling for people's jobs all the time. Like, I have screwed up a lot. I've made some stupid decisions, and if every time I had a bad day or made a bad decision, people were calling for my job, I wouldn't like it much. Think about that in your life. Think about how you call for people to be fired. You call for people to never have an opportunity again, and think about how that would apply to you. Just saying. Just want to take a break real quickly, Matthew. We'll get back. We'll lighten things up a little bit. Let's get loose. Let's get light, and we'll look at the NFL. We'll look at college football. 5 games of the week in both that I want to look at, and then we'll give you predictions. Call us up, 968 News Prediction Friday.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. You know, we've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
Here's what you missed.
updated news,
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
developing stories,
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
and weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on KRK4 today.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Welcome back in on a Friday. 30 years ago today, Maddie, Michael Jordan signed his first contract with the Chicago Bulls. 30 years ago today. So about a year before I was born, the legend began. Jordan was pretty good. I don't know if he's quite as good as LeBron, but he's joke. Speaking of those LeBron jokes, Brad Caldwell is going to be in the studio with us in a couple Fridays. I don't know if it's this next Friday or the Friday after, but he's going to be here in the studio.
Too bad.
That's too bad. So we'll be talking.
Hope you're listening, Brad. We love you.
Talking with him about football. He's got a baby girl. She's cute. I hope he's not watching right now because I don't want him to get the big head, the big bald head. But yeah, he'll be here in a couple weeks. Let's look at the NFL real quickly. 5 games. They're all good games. It's the NFL. They're professionals. I had a friend who he said he didn't like college football, and I thought, what blasphemy is this? And he talked about the NFL and how these guys are the professionals. They're the best. The best college footballs you ever watched. The best college football players you ever watched are playing in the NFL, and
that's why I like it, though.
Yeah,
college football.
That's why a lot of
there's
people like
more
it. The pageantry.
There's more of a chance. You can have, a nobody playing a somebody, and the nobody can win, and you don't have nobodies in the NFL.
Well, you do.
Well, I know, but not in the same way.
Jacksonville playing Philadelphia last week, that was as close to a nobody as I thought, and it was 17-0 at half. Jacksonville. Yeah. So
I'm just saying, you can have these smaller FCS schools play and win.
Even if a really bad team beats a really good team in the NFL, it's just another week in the NFL. And in college football, App State beats Michigan, and it's the end of the world.
Yeah, Michigan's season is done.
Everybody in the country is celebrating type thing. Everybody except for Michigan fans is celebrating. So that's the joy and the mystique.
Yeah, for me, it's just because every game is more important. Every game counts so much more. If you're a team that's looking to do anything on the national stage, you can't. If you lose 2 games, then that's pretty much it. I mean, like if South Carolina, how tense is that game going to be this weekend? Georgia, South Carolina. South Carolina loses, that's it.
They're done.
Yeah, they're done for the season pretty much. They'll go to some bowl game, but they're done for national aspirations.
And they're not going to win the East.
No.
Yeah, and I heard
that's why I like it.
I think it was Kirk Herbstreit yesterday on ESPN picking South Carolina to win that game. I may be mistaken, but somebody did say that South Carolina.
Everybody's picking it close that I've seen.
South Carolina had better look 1,000% different than they did against Texas A&M, or that's just going to be nasty. So we'll get to college football here in a minute, but NFL, I want to go through and predict each one of these games so that you can come back next Monday and make fun of me for how many times I was wrong. And if you're a gambling man, you can just go put your money on the other team so that you'll have a chance to win. I told you that Pittsburgh was going to beat Baltimore. It was 26-6 Baltimore last night. I don't even want to get into the many ways I was wrong on that one. Baltimore overcame the distraction of the Ray Rice situation, overcame the distraction of former players like Ed Reed saying that they've got a leadership problem, and overcame all these obstacles to win at home, and got to tip the cap to them. Miami, Buffalo, I've got Miami. Jacksonville, Washington, that one scares me, but I've got Washington close. Arizona, New York Giants, until the Giants win a game, I don't know that they can. They're at home. I've got Arizona, but that's tough. When I go back and look and I see all these road teams that I've picked to win, it's kind of scary. New England, Minnesota. Your boys in Minnesota got a win last week against St. Louis. I think Tom Brady lost last week, so I think that they're not going to go to 0-2. I think that's just very, very hard to believe and fathom, so I'm going with New England. New Orleans, Cleveland. Cleveland came all the way back against Pittsburgh. We found out what Pittsburgh was last night. I'm going New Orleans. Atlanta, Cincinnati, one of the 5 games that I really wanted to detail. Cincinnati got up 15-0 against Baltimore, gave up the lead, made a big play at the end, A.J. Green touchdown bomb. I saw some stats, and other than that bomb to A.J. Green and other than Andy Dalton to A.J. Green, Andy Dalton was not very good last week. Atlanta looked a lot better last week, much improved, played well against a Drew Brees-led New Orleans Saints offense that much better than Cincinnati could ever hope to be. But Cincinnati's defense is much better than New Orleans is too, so I expect it to be a little low scoring. I'm picking Atlanta to win this game. Would not be surprised at all if it went the opposite direction. Detroit, Carolina, another one I've written down here. Cam Newton made some controversial remarks about Ndamukong Suh, called him Donkey Kong about 5 times through his press conference with a straight face. It'd have been different if and it wouldn't have been that much different, but it would have been a little different if he had said it and laughed about it and, oh, I'm just joking, sorry, something like that. No, he said it like 5 times in the interview, just kept saying it. And obviously the black leaders are not excited with it today. I wish Weldon would call in because he's pretty level-headed about stuff like this, and most of the time he's one who's just like, hey, it doesn't matter. But I've heard people who I think are very similar to that are saying, stupid. There's no reason for you to do that, Cam. Cam Newton's very immature. That's neither here nor there. I've got Detroit winning that game. I think Carolina is coming back down to earth this year, and I expect that the Lions are going to play pretty well and win that game. St. Louis, Tampa Bay. This one is one I cannot tell you, so I'll take Tampa Bay, the home team. I have no idea from St. Louis what I'm going to get. Chris Long out 8 to 10 weeks with an ankle surgery. That's kind of rough there for St. Louis, who was relying on that defense, and last week they didn't play well at all there against the Minnesota Vikings. Seattle, San Diego, hearing people rumblings that San Diego's going to win this game at home. I've got Seattle close because although they play completely differently at home than on the road, I think they've kind of got things figured out, and I'm interested to see how that offense plays. Nick Hardwick, the center for the San Diego Chargers, out for the year. That's a loss for the quarterback-center exchange there. Not that I think will have a huge effect. I think Seattle's defense and the balance that they found with some offense is now going to be the problem that they face. So I've got Seattle winning that one close. Houston, Oakland, another one I'm not real sure about. I'm picking Houston because, like Atlanta, I think they're much better than their record last year, and I think that they're going to be shown to be much improved. Although Jadeveon Clowney, he's opposite of J.J. Watt, out for 4 to 6 weeks with the meniscus tear. I just really like J.J. Watt. I like the effort that he plays with. I saw somebody this week say something about, why don't you have a life, J.J. Watt? And he said, well, I've been given this unique opportunity to play football. I'm paraphrasing. I could go out and party and do those things that people do, or I could, during this limited time that I'm going to be able to play football, I could give it everything I've got and then go do that. And he said, I'm going to do that. I'm going to play my hardest. I'm going to practice and take care of my body, and I'm going to do the things that I need to do to be successful. And I really appreciate that. I'm going to be rooting for J.J. Watt and the Houston Texans this year. Really like what he had to say. Jets at Packers. Packers at home at Lambeau, bouncing back from a loss to Seattle. I've got the Packers winning, although the Jets, I think, are going to be pretty much pretty well in this game and in the race there in the AFC East. There with New England and Miami. That's going to be a pretty tough division for New England this year. So it's probably closer than what a lot of folks are saying. Kansas City, Denver, biggest spread of the week. 13.5 points last I saw. Kansas City was getting there in Denver. I'm not sure if I were picking the points that I would not take Kansas City, but if I'm just picking it outright, I think Denver wins this game. Kansas City going to regress to the mean a little bit this year, to where not a 13-3 team, but not a 3-13 team. Somewhere in the range of 8 or 9 wins, I think, is what Kansas City is going to be this year. I don't think that they're going to be great. Don't think they're going to be awful. Chicago, San Francisco. This is one of those games. It's the opener for Levi's Stadium for San Francisco. I don't know who is going to win this game. I picked San Francisco because they're at home opener. A little bit more trusting in them after the win that they got against Dallas, although their offense didn't look all that great. Their defense didn't look all that great. They got 4 turnovers from Tony Romo in Dallas, 3 interceptions and a fumble that they returned for a touchdown. Would not be surprised at all if Jay Cutler came out and lit them up and Chicago won that game, but I've got San Francisco close. And then the Monday Nighter, Philadelphia at Indianapolis, Eagles, Colts. Maddie, I have no idea who's going to win this game. I'll pick Indianapolis home, bounce back off of a loss to the Denver Broncos. I'll pick them because their offense, I think, is going to be able to they got down 24-0 last week. Came back and were able to get things rolling. I think that they'll be able to get things rolling a little faster. If Philadelphia does what they did last week, got down 17-0 to Jacksonville, see ya, ball game. Indianapolis will win that game. I think this could be a high-scoring game. I do think that this could be a 30-something type game that Philadelphia or Indianapolis wins. I do think eventually somebody is going to figure out, the NFL is going to slow down and figure out this Chip Kelly offense. I do have to tip the cap to them, though, because he is one of those, if you read about him, he studies statistics, he studies tendencies, he studies technology and new types of things that he can integrate into his system.
That's the thing. I think he would change his approach as they figure things out,
But I think philosophically what he does. Yeah, no. Philosophically what he does, though, eventually people are going to catch up. It's not the Wildcat where it's one play, really. It's not the zone read where it's basically you got two options, sort of like the Wildcat.
I don't know if this is sidetracking a tiny bit, but I don't know that the zone read can be figured out, because just watching it, it's like their options, you just don't know which to take, and if you take the wrong one, then you get burned.
But the reason that the zone read was so successful at first is because people weren't practicing assignment football. They weren't practicing every day saying San Francisco is going to run this zone read and Colin Kaepernick's going to get, you had people out of position, and then they were taking advantage of it that way for a couple weeks, and then it slowed down. I think Chip Kelly, to be fair to him, he's a little bit ahead of the curve in that, and like you said, it's not just one thing. It's not just the zone read or the Wildcat or whatever it might be. It's more of a West Coast offense type thing where, and I know the West Coast offense has slowed down, but they won a lot of Super Bowls, and they won a whole lot of games until people sort of caught up, so to speak, and the West Coast is still in effect today. So we'll see what Chip Kelly is able to get done with the Philadelphia Eagles this year. Didn't look great last week. I'll go Indianapolis, very, very close in that one. So that's your NFL picks for the week. Those are your NFL picks for the week. I'll speak
those
proper
is
English.
Them.
Those is they. I'm not very good with English, that language we speak. All right, Maddie, let's hit a break. Before we get out of here for the day, I want to look at college football, bleed into Razorbacks at Texas Tech. I'll tell you the score. I'll tell you some things to look for, and I'm hoping to not be wrong. That's really where I am right now. I just hope that my Razorback colored glasses that I don't often put on don't come back to bite me. Because if it does, I remember a couple of years ago this happened. I picked Arkansas to win a game that I didn't, that most people didn't expect them to win, and I had been on the opposite side where I just picked them to lose, and they kept winning games the Petrino years. And when they lost that game, I was like, nope, never letting that crap happen again, where I just get overconfident. We'll see. We'll see if that's the case. I'll tell you why Arkansas is going to beat Texas Tech in our final segment.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. We've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
here's what you missed.
Updated news.
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
Developing stories.
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
And weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance of rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on. KARK4 today.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Final segment of a Friday on the Sports Blitz. Want to once again ask for your help tonight. Go to Facebook.com/RVL News at about 7 o'clock. Find our Football Friday Night scoreboard. Give us the score to the game you're at. You can keep us up to date with the score as a team scores. You can share that, or you can just give us the halftime score and the final score, or you can just give us the final score, whatever it might be that you're able to do. We appreciate each one of you for your help there in getting that taken care of. College football games of the week, obviously Georgia, South Carolina, number 6, Georgia at number 24, South Carolina. The big one, if South Carolina loses, as Maddie said, they go to 1-2. They're out of the race in the East because they would have already lost 2 conference games. And Georgia, I don't see losing 2 conference games, although they play at Arkansas, so that could be Razorback red colored glasses here. Louisville at Virginia. Bobby Petrino, like it or not, I know you're paying attention to Petrino and what he and his team are doing there. Unfortunately, the 21st ranked Cardinals have a little bit of a defense to go with Bobby Petrino's offense. They're putting some points on the board. They're going to be dangerous, and I hate Bobby Petrino. USC traveling across the country to play at Boston College. That's going to be an interesting one. Boston College trying to, on the week of 9/11, which was yesterday, September 11th, trying to honor fallen heroes and that type of thing with a red bandana. And you hear people talk about gang affiliations. Like, people can't do anything without losing their job or it being racist or it being some sort of offensive. Arkansas State puts a cross on the helmet, and they're, oh no, freedom from religion pops up and says, nope, you can't do that because that's offensive to me. You're outside your mind. I have to keep myself contained here. Anyway, Boston College going to try to honor those with a red bandana, and USC trying to stomp a mud hole in them and walk it dry. 3,000 miles across the country. So we'll see how that turns out. I got USC winning that one close. East Carolina, Virginia Tech, close one. That's a tough one. I wouldn't pick that game. If I were just going to try to pick the winner, I wouldn't go out on a limb on that one because
I didn't pick that game.
East Carolina against South Carolina, there were people predicting East Carolina to win that game. They only lost by 10. And South Carolina had obviously had its eyes opened wide after that Texas A&M game. So you know they had a good week of practice. They had focus, and they still came out and couldn't bury East Carolina. So I think Virginia Tech coming off a big win against a depleted Ohio State team, they better be on upset alert this week or East Carolina can go in there and whip them. Finally, the game that it's not the game of the week, but it's the one I'm going to pay particular attention to, UCLA at Texas. Will Charlie Strong and his squad, he's already kicked something like 8 people off the team. Will they be able to overcome a slow start and some pretty bad football so far this year to beat UCLA? I sure hope not. My favorite team's the Razorbacks, and you know who my second favorite team is, Maddie? Whoever's playing Texas.
Yeah, I've heard you say that before.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's every Arkansas, Oklahoma, and pretty much everyone who's ever been in the Southwest Conference, the Big 12 Conference, or had any affiliation or run-in with Texas whatsoever. Clay Henry, he's on a statewide TV show or radio show, and he's nationally known. He's a Hall of Famer in the broadcasting industry in the state of Arkansas, and actually it's in the writing industry. He writes for Hogs Illustrated. He's a publisher. He said, it does my heart good to see Texas suck. And I couldn't have said it better myself. So we'll go with UCLA in that one and hope for the best. Finally, Razorbacks. Texas Tech, we gave you the breakdown a little bit on Monday, a little bit on Wednesday. Today's Prediction Friday. Want to share some thoughts. I've got Arkansas winning this game against Texas Tech. I don't know who the Bears are. Oh, that's UCA. Gotcha. Got some highlights from the Texas Tech game. Look, Texas Tech could barely beat UCA. And that's no slight to UCA. That's just saying if Arkansas can't beat a team that UCA can be 7 points down, I think they lost 42-35. If Arkansas can't beat a team that UCA can stay on the field with, Arkansas's got problems. We know that Arkansas is leading the nation in rushing yards per attempt, right? Is it like 9 yards a carry?
Yeah, and then as you told me that stat yesterday, they're leading the nation by, I think the next closest team is 54 yards, and that's, I don't want to get it wrong.
It was yards on first down, right?
It's first down yards, but I think it's first down running yards.
Yeah.
So it's like 12 point something, which is just insane.
Yeah, I saw that. Arkansas is rushing the ball at will in portions of time. Obviously, you can throw out Nicholls State, Nicholls game. Auburn, they rushed the ball at will in the first half. Second half, Auburn made adjustments, and Arkansas's coaches were stuck in an elevator. But I don't see Texas Tech being able to stop Arkansas's running attack consistently. And if they do, they're going to have to commit so much to do that it's going to open up Arkansas to the passing game. It's going to open up the Arkansas passing game. So my keys to the game, obviously the offensive line have got to play well, run blocking, pass blocking, more pass blocking because I think they're going to dominate in the rushing game unless they're just outnumbered. But they're going to have to pass protect for Brandon Allen. He's going to have to throw accurate passes, and you're going to have to see. My thought was that you're going to see the middle of the field. Arkansas taking shots in the middle of the field toward tight ends, Hunter Henry, A.J. Derby, and slot receivers like I've heard JoJo Robinson is looking likely to play. Hope he is. Tevin Mitchell apparently going to try to play at cornerback, but that's on the other side of the ball. Drew Morgan, guys like that. I see those guys being the big impact players, but the more I think about it, if Texas Tech's going to put 8 in the box and say, you can't beat us with the run, which I still think Arkansas can do, you're going to see some attempts down the field to stretch that defense. And if Arkansas can get Texas Tech off balance, that's just going to be really tough for Texas Tech to stop the Razorbacks. But on the flip side, Texas Tech's offense is going to give Arkansas trouble, I do believe. Now, if they try to run straight at Arkansas, it would be a massacre. Razorbacks would just destroy them. If they try to hold the ball, but their offense is designed as this east-west type, throw it sideways, quickly get the ball out offense. Trey Flowers and Dietrich Wise would just destroy their offensive line and their quarterback if they were a drop back, 7-step drop type offense. That's not what they're going to be. So Arkansas is going to have to try to get some push and some pressure with the offensive line, make their quarterback uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, they're going to have the secondary tackle, and they're going to have guys cover. If Arkansas can do that well enough, I can see them running off and hiding in this game and this being a 2-touchdown-plus game because I just think Arkansas is that much better that they can shorten the game with the run, and if they can get Texas Tech out of balance. I don't want to disrespect Texas Tech like there's just some scrub. I do think they're going to score, and that's why I've got the score, Maddie, 30-27 Arkansas. It's a road game, so you give the other team 7 points. That means I think Arkansas is 10 points better than Texas Tech. That's just a rule of thumb. You give them 7 points. My Kool-Aid minute, and I want to hear yours too here in just a moment, but my Kool-Aid minute, Arkansas runs the ball down their throat. Texas Tech says, we're going to stop that. We're going to put 8, 9 in the box and make you throw man-to-man coverage deep, no safeties. We're just going to make you throw. And Arkansas just torches them through the air for 250-plus yards, rushes for 250 to 300 yards, and just absolutely annihilates Texas Tech and wins by 2 touchdowns plus. That's my Kool-Aid minute. I'm more likely, and Texas Tech can come out and win this game. They're favored. And really, actually, I think it's about even now because people have been putting money on Arkansas, which tells you that people expect Arkansas to be right there. But I could see Texas Tech causing enough trouble because I just think Arkansas secondary is terrible. I think that they could score some points and that my 30-27 score could not be high enough. I can see that being the fact. But I just see Arkansas winning this game. I don't know how else to go about it. If Texas Tech wins, I will be eating crow on Monday. Give me your Kool-Aid. And then give me your real.
Okay, well, let me give you my real score.
Okay.
First. I'm going to think about this real hard. I'm going to say 38-31. Does that make any sense?
Arkansas?
31?
38-31? Yeah.
Is that a weird score? I don't do math well. Anyway. 38-31. And I was tempted to go like a 42 to 30 something, but no, well, because I really do think that Arkansas is not going to be stopped running attack, and here I'll get into my Kool-Aid minute type thing.
Okay,
is that Texas Tech will not be able to stop Arkansas to a very, very, very severe degree. So much so that it's not, I don't want to sound terrible, but this is a Kool-Aid minute. It's going to be similar to some of the plays that you saw against Nicholls State.
Okay, so you think it's more Nicholls than Auburn?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's not really fair because Texas Tech isn't Nicholls State. But I'm saying some of those top plays where it's just you're outmatched. Yeah. You got pushed back.
Well, I'm sure there will be some of those.
You could drive a truck through this hole. I think there are going to be some plays like that.
I think there are going to be some of those plays against Alabama. True. There are going to be moments like that against everyone. But
I think they're going to be more. In my Kool-Aid minute, they're going to be more.
Will they outweigh the opposite happening for Texas Tech on offense?
I do think so because I've heard reports, and you can confirm if you know, that Tevin Mitchell, you may have already said this in the show, Tevin Mitchell is expected to play, which is a big deal, even though he's not great, but he's experienced,
to me,
though.
If Tevin Mitchell does anything, it'll be the first time in 2 years.
Also, another thing that I just saw, I was looking at some stats and other info on Texas Tech. Their best receiver, a lot of people say, is a true freshman.
Yeah.
And he's 5'6".
Yeah, the point is that he's going to be quick, and if Arkansas can't tackle,
that's true,
then they're going to be in trouble.
But if anybody can stick with him at all, unless he's like a 4-2 guy, then that's a. I mean,
I don't think Arkansas is going to be wowed
You're
by
not
speed.
Even 5'6".
Yeah, I'm taller than that.
Yeah.
I don't think Arkansas is going to go in there and be wowed by speed or quickness of a Big 12 school. Like, we play in the SEC, you see fast people all the time. Big, strong, fast people. So maybe quickness and maybe the shiftiness and lack of tackling ability from Arkansas, but
if not for the huge difference between Arkansas's offensive line size-wise and the defensive line for Texas Tech, I would have this game much closer. I would be scared. But I'm just really it's a good feeling because I really am not worried about Arkansas losing, and maybe I'm going to feel like an idiot on Monday when I come in and we lost.
We might both feel that way.
But I really just am not worried about it because I think Arkansas's offensive line is that much bigger and that much better than Texas Tech, where they just simply cannot handle it. Like you've dealt with somebody who's just bigger and stronger than you, and there's nothing you can do. You just can't do anything.
Well, I just hope Texas Tech doesn't start kicking us in the junk then. Because that's what you do, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
All right, leading rusher for the Hogs this week. Alex Collins.
I'm going to go Alex Collins.
That's my guy. I was underestimating him. I was trying to give because I saw too much immaturity.
AJ Derby will have the most receiving yards.
No, well, yes, I do like AJ Derby at tight end, and I think he's been a revelation. I think he'll be good. I'll go Hunter Henry. Man, it's his turn. Seems like he's Chris Carter. All he does is catch touchdowns, which is fine if he keeps catching touchdowns. But I do want to see him. He's
Darius
very talented. I don't think
they'll
have
anybody. Fun.
Darius Philon. I don't see Arkansas's defensive line being as big a factor because of the fact that Texas Tech ain't going to try to run it. They're going to throw it 60 times, and they're going to throw it straight sideways. It'd have to be DJ Dean or Landon Collins or not Landon Collins. What's his name? Jared Collins. Landon Collins is the one that plays for Alabama. So it'd be one of those guys who I think could have a good game, a big game. What if one of these passes gets tipped up in the air, picked sixth, and Arkansas's defensive backs go nuts? That would be part of my Kool-Aid minute. We'll see how that works. All right, we got to get out of here. That's all the time we've got for today. Another big happy birthday to Mr. Weldon Braxton, who I apparently said was here in the first segment. Don't know.
He's not here.
I'm not him. In spirit, he's in here. hopefully our Kool-Aid Minute comes to fruition and Arkansas can get a big win. Hopefully you enjoy some high school football this evening. Come see me. Come say hello at Dardanelle tonight as the Dardanelle Sand Lizards take on the Boonville Bearcats. Enjoy your game. Go to facebook.com/RVL News. Give us your Friday night scoreboard score. There about 7 o'clock is when that status will go up. For Maddie, I'm Mark saying so long. We'll be back at 11 o'clock on Monday.